Hi, this is Sylvia and welcome to my little video bite. I wanted to show you some quick little things on recording a video using Microsoft PowerPoint. So let's get started. Yep, that's a good place to start looking at transitions. So I'm going to show you something about transitions, then subtitles, recording process, and annotations during recording, and then just production of the video itself. So let me break this down. Here's a little presentation you've put together. This is just something simple. You could do something a lot more interesting. First thing we're going to look at is transitions. Well, this is kind of a fun, you could spend hours playing with these transitions. You go over here to the transitions tab. If this is not open to you, what you can do is you go to here, you right mouse on the top right, and you says customize the ribbon. And then you can go here and look at the different tabs and what's open and what's not. So maybe you may have transitions be off. If it's off, go ahead and turn it on. And there's lots of different options within that, but I think you're good with this. Okay, let's see if there's anything. Oh, you can even do developer in PowerPoint. Awesome, I'm gonna turn it on for me. Okay, and everything else, I've got everything in my ribbon. So we're all good. Okay, so if you don't have transitions in your ribbon options here, go ahead and turn it on. So now we're in transitions, and so what you do is in each slide you can choose what transition you want. So here we had curtains. Now if you saw how I started it by default, so let me just turn it on again. See, it kind of takes this time and it takes up a whole 6 seconds of my time. So maybe we can make that go faster. We could do it in 1 second. Okay, 1 second gets crazy. Look at this. So let's try it again, just to test. Woo! Okay, that's a little too fast. So I've learned that 2 seconds for transitions is a good time interval. Let's test it out. Okay, so it doesn't waste too much time. Maybe 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds could be a time. Okay, there it is. It gives you a chance to transition during the slides. Now, very important though, is when you're recording, PowerPoint associates a recording to each slide. So do not speak during the transition or test how much you can speak during transition, because it's a discontinuity. So I don't know how much goes into the first slide versus the second slide. So transitions are great, but be very careful when you're using them in recording in PowerPoint. Now, what I'm doing is, and I often do that, is I actually use Camtasia to record things, but I often first work with the PowerPoint recording and then edit that. So there's some other fun transition, there's this one. It really depends on what you're trying to say. So for example, right now, for the next slide, we can say, oh, well, we're gonna be done. Oh, this is a cool one, the subtitles. This is kind of cool, the zoom. But you see, it's like 0.9 seconds. So I'm gonna do, the one that I like for this one, how we transition into this one, is the crush. See, because it's like, oh, we're done with that topic. Let's move on to the next one. Okay? And so you can really assign a different transition for every slide. Be careful. It really gets annoying. So I would keep transitions only for effect. So don't do it at every slide. There is the default transition of just fade in and out, which is nice and mellow. So my recommendation about transitions is to only do it when you're trying to make a point. So it's great for the very first one. Let's put curtains again, because it's like, okay, let's start up our presentation. Okay. And as you could see, it really depends on the image that you put in the first slide. Okay. And that gets transitioned out. So that's pretty much all I have to say about transitions. You can set some things automatically that it goes on to the next slide, even on certain timings, but I don't. I like to do it on mouse click. Okay. And that's pretty much all I have on transitions. Use them carefully and use them well. So the next topic is subtitles. This is something really cool that most people don't know about PowerPoint, is it actually has subtitles in a different language. So if I go to the slideshow, and you've got here subtitle settings. So my spoken language is going to be English, and I'm going to say always use subtitles. Now, for some reason, and I need to spend a little bit more time on it, I'm not sure you can actually record with subtitles. Okay, so you either record or you use subtitles in a presentation. And that's when something like Camtasia or some other program that records your screen. So my settings, I like to have it below the slide and not on top, so it just doesn't quite overlay. So let's test this out. So I'm going to be here and I'm going to say, oh, here we go. Transition from, oh, you see, it showed it in black because, oh, I didn't tell you that this is going to be in Italian. What I find out is really cool is it kind of improves itself. As it's listening, it actually corrects the wording. Okay, so let's see if we can actually switch it back. And I'm going to exit this and I'm going to say, hey, my spoken language is going to be Italian. Let's try this. I haven't done this yet. And then do the subtitles in English. Okay, and so this is kind of cool because maybe you have a guest, maybe you have something, and you know, maybe English is not your main language, so you could still do your presentation in your language and then have the subtitles be in English. Okay, it's not going to be perfect, but what I'm seeing is that PowerPoint is actually very good. So, allora vediamo se funziona se cambiamo. Io adesso parlo in inglese, in italiano, e vediamo se PowerPoint adesso mette le cose in inglese. Come vedete, il PowerPoint mette le cose molto bene in inglese. Ok, ho parlato un italiano pessimo, mi dispiace veramente. Who spoke? Oh, mamma mia, no, un po' strano come traduce. Vediamo come traduce mamma mia. Ok, quindi c'è cose interessanti e no. Ok, questo però è un po' un modo di, se io parlo italiano o spagnolo o quello che vuoi, puoi sempre cambiare a mettere i sottotitoli in inglese. Quindi questa è una cosa molto molto comoda. Okay, so it's a very, very comfortable thing. I like some of the translations, but I think it's very good to, it's better than not. I know YouTube has some closed captioning, but now it's getting confused because I'm speaking English. Okay, so subtitles are very handy, but you see, if I press record, then I don't see, you see, I don't see the subtitles appearing anywhere. Okay, so which this brings us good to this topic of recording. So if we go to recording, and I just showed you, I just exited. So what's really great about PowerPoint is that you can record your slides. And as I said, it attaches a piece of recording to each one of your slides. So if I'm in slideshow, and so you can even just record audio if you want, but I like, and screen recording from current slide. Okay, so what I typically do, so I go to slideshow. Okay, this is something handy because if you have two monitors on the side, you will see the presenter view. But I clicked it off. So I'm going to say, start recording from the current slide. Okay, but I may be speaking and I'm recording it on Camtasia, but I'm not recording until I push this button in my other page. Okay, so now I'm going to record and it gives me time. Hey, wait. Now it's going to the slide and I am recording to the slide. All right, we'll talk about this little annotations on there in the next set. Okay, I can pause recording for the slide and I can resume recording on the slide, or I can start over. Okay, and so it's really handy because if I go to the next slide now, it's going to record on top of the next slide. As I mentioned, always keep quiet between transitions, but you can always test how far one thing gets recorded. Oh, you see here, you can have different views. And so I had the presenter view, I can do the slide view and teleprompter because you can actually have notes. I didn't write any notes associated with my slides, but that's kind of handy when you're doing that. And that's a good way of making sure when you're recording, maybe put all the items that you wanted to make sure it gets recorded. So I'm going to go back to the presentation part, go to the next slide, and now I'm going to start speaking and describing the slide. I didn't have to press record at that slide. It automatically records from one slide to the next. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording. Okay. Now what I can do on this next slide is I can re-record this slide. So you can either start over on all of them, or, hey, I really didn't like how I started describing this slide here. Well, what you can do is start over just for the slide itself. And so this is really, really a nice feature of PowerPoint. You can record bits of information associated with each slide. So what happens is you can remove a slide and automatically removes the recording. Or, hey, I forgot, maybe there's some data, additional data I want to add to my presentation. You can just insert a slide and there you are. So here you can just say, you know, record it on current slide. And see, it kind of started, oh, there it is. It's starting over on that slide. And we saw when the transition starts. And so I'm actually recording information on this page, which brings us to the interesting topic of annotations. Well, what's cool is I want to show you, this is my side window. Okay. And if we do the view without that, so let's say you only have one screen, well, put it on slide view. Okay. And now you can actually, and I think I needed to do that when I started. But what's really cool about annotations is that you can draw and write on your screen, right? Oh, I love annotations. And you can say, this is the sun. Okay. And whatever else, or if you want to erase or you want to highlight. Well, all your movements here, and I don't know, I think it's because I moved the screen over. And you can see all my actions over here. What's really cool about these annotations is that they get recorded in the timing of your slide. Okay, and so I'm going to stop recording the slide and I'm happy with it. Okay, and that brings us to the next topic, is producing this video. All right, so I'm going to go to PowerPoint now. Export video before exiting. Stay, oh, because I think I stay and export. Okay. So I stayed on PowerPoint. Now I have, if I look at my slides, if I look at this one, there's nothing recorded on it. But if I look at this one here, for example, see there's a little audio thing. If I press play, if you listen to my little speaker out here, okay, it's actually recorded and I can hear what I said. Oh, because I have it on headphones. So my headphones were plugged into my computer. Okay, so it's nice because you can re-listen to what you did, and if you want, oh, I didn't like what I did in this slide, you can just work on this slide itself. The annotations that you've done get stored, but when you produce the video, they're going to come out, as I said, you know, in the timing. And so if you want, you can test the listening on this one. Okay, so now we're done. We've got everything we want. We've spoken over all the slides that we wanted to do. And now what we can do is produce a video. So now you can save it. I'm going to save my slide. I typically save it as maybe a new name because all these recordings make the file bigger. So sometimes I'll save one that's just raw, and then I'll save one with these annotations and recordings. Well, when you're done with that and you're happy with what you have, you go to File, and now you say Export. And what we want to do is we want to create a video. That's what I do. Okay. I like to do a full size HD. Oh, you could do even bigger. So, but the bigger this resolution, the better the resolution, the bigger the file and the longer will it take. So maybe right now I'm just going to do a standard. So I'm going to do this, use the recording timings and narrations, and I'm going to click and create the video. Okay. And this is going to take time. And what you want to do is watch what's going on here. I didn't have that many slides. Typically my presentations are half-hour long. So this may actually go pretty fast, and you could see it here what the process is. So if you want, go grab a cup of coffee and then come back, and then this is done. Okay. It's done. Video exported successfully. Click here to open it up. This location may be unsafe, but hey, I created it, so I'm good. Okay. And so now I have this video that was recorded. Okay. And it's got audio, of course, but there's no audio associated with this part yet. And you can see that caught the transition. You can control the volume. I just want to see if it actually recorded. See, I'm just putting my little headphones near it, and you could see that it's recording my speaking. Let's see if it recorded my annotations. There it is. See how the transitions came along and the annotations came along right while I'm speaking and describing them. So that's it. That's how to make a video. There's so many resources out there, and but these are just some ideas that I find that are fun and helpful from PowerPoint. I hope this helped. Thanks. Bye-bye.